Bishop called again. Yes, I am no joking. Called me yesterday morning. For some reason, the message didn't get to my phone. There's been something wrong with my cell phone. I have Verizon, so it should be pretty good. But something wrong with my phone that sometimes I keep me searching for signal the whole day. So I didn't get the message until late last night. And I chose not to call him back late, so I called him early this morning about probably 7:15. And his message goes like this. I'm on my way to Thomasville to install Father Marvin Alstai as a pastor. I'm looking at my calendar and I'm willing to make a trip to Americas to install you. Why don't you call me back and see what is the best day? So I called him back this morning. So he will be here 2 weeks from today, August the 14th, to install me as a pastor of this church. So we'll open up, we will of course welcome him. I offer him, I said, well, I have a spare room in the rectory. Would you like to stay? He said, I didn't know you have a spare room. I said, so the previous pastor didn't tell you that? So he said that his intention is to come here the evening before, to spend overnight. It is a long drive from Savannah. To stay here and then have the 10:30 Mass with us on August the 14th. So probably I would be the last pastor that he installed on his, his leadership as a bishop of Savannah. So that's just the news for you to know. I love the Gospel of Luke more than any of the Gospel. There's a reason why I love the Gospel of Luke. Is this. I love eating and drinking just like Luke. If you don't believe me, you open the Gospel of Luke and you read every time. And I mean almost every time when Jesus opened his mouth and preached, he was in the middle of a meal. Eating and drinking. But for one exception, I like Matthew today, which we just heard today. Not only they do the eating and drinking, they was in a pretty big party. A party of 5,000 men, not counting the women and the children. So I look for about 15,000 right here. And I would understand the concern, even if, today, take for an example. I certainly knock at your door in the afternoon and say, well, I'm just on the way by here, let me stop by and, you get ready for your dinner. And then the husband said, hey, Father, come on in. But then the wife began to roll in her eyes, say, wow, but we don't have enough food, that would be the very normal human concern, isn't it? That we don't have enough food for our guests. So should we eat and let the guests just say, hey, wait, enjoy it. Just make yourself at home in the living room. We just go down to the kitchens a little bit and we'll be back in 30 minutes. And that's the normal concern. We're concerned about how we can fulfill people in a physical way. How can we feed them? And that's what was the concern of the disciples today. Now they didn't have a problem when Jesus was preaching to the people. They enjoyed it. That's what their mission. But then even in draws near and they didn't see Jesus making any move, they come over. There's what we call today a friendly reminder. Hey, teacher, pastor, it's late, It's time for the meal. Just tell them to go away. It's time for us to eat. And Jesus said, what you got? And they said, 5 loaves and 2 fish. This is for 13 people. That's quite already not enough. Look at the big crowd. But this is the important thing of the gospel message today that I want all of you to know. Is Jesus didn't say, well, tell them to sit down. Don't worry. I'll talk to the man upstairs. I'm making a phone call to my Father and everything's under control. He didn't say that. He said, why don't you, or should he say, why don't y'all? Is that I said it right? I'm trying to get it. Why don't y'all feed them? forehead. They said, duh, teacher, you know we don't have food for these people? Because he didn't say, well, let them sit down, don't worry, I take care of that. Now, the disciple would be pretty happy to hear that, right? Because they trust the guy. But here the man of the hour, Jesus Christ himself, turned around and said, no. You feed them yourselves. So they all sat down. The disciple was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do it. Like I could see Peter running up and down, saying, anywhere else, what is the closest one, how far can we get more food, where can we go, can we ask anybody, like they run up and down and talk to everybody here. Jesus took the bread, took the fish, looked up to heaven, given thanks, broke it, and gave it to them. He didn't go give it himself. He told the disciples after that, you go give it to them. He shared with them. Isn't that you and I are called to do the same thing today? Not only that we need to feed ourselves, but we need to learn how to feed the older people as well. Not that we learn how to satisfy ourselves, but we need to also to help others to be satisfied. This morning I was standing right outside the church, and even before the previous mass, and people said, well, why are you always standing outside the church? Why don't you go inside? Because out there, I could use my hand, catching all these flying. And I said, well, probably one day I'm going to make a sign and stand right in front of the church. If people ride past this way, or if they ride past this way, I say you go to the wrong church. Maybe something like that, stop right here or something like that. It is our job to feed them. But isn't Jesus just do this just because for fun? Just because he just wants to show off that I can make miracles and they don't? Every message, every miracle that Jesus does, it has a theological meaning behind it. It's the true feeding of a life. Not just a physical feeding, but a spiritual feeding as well. In just another minute, you and I, we will take the same bread and we will break it together. We will feed ourselves and we will share with other people. We need to proclaim that good news. Ron came up to me this morning and he told me, he said, did you read the America's, what is the newspaper, the Recorder, the America's Recorder this morning? And I said, no, I don't normally read newspaper, there's no good news up there to read anyway. And he said, well, there's a letter to the editor about you. And that's when you read that. Letter to editors are normally very not good. They love to criticize. They said, well, actually, it's really good. It's good about you. And I just said, well, thank you, Jesus. I didn't make that. I didn't make the headline in the negative. But I said, well, I've only been here, a month now, and already headline that. Man, to just be empty out slowly, and then to another year when the new bishop coming in here, I said, hey bishop, you and me, let's celebrate the Mass together. But we're here to share that good news. We're here to invite other people. We don't tell, it's time, tell them to go home. We're here to invite them to sit down in a wonderful meal. Not just a physical meal that that nourishes our body, but a spiritual meal that will feed us and give us that everlasting life together. And that one doesn't just come directly from God. Yes, he has to be the one who's our source of blessings and miracles given. But he wants us to participate into that miracle making. He didn't have to take that 5 loaves and 2 fish from them. He just looked up to heaven and he said, hey, Father, give me some and they can eat. And he can drop straight down from heaven into the hands of every one of them. Yes, he is the miracle given. He is the source all these blessings, but he just doesn't send directly down to the people. He asked the disciple to be the mediator, the one who, like the channel of blessings to people. So you and I are called to be exactly the same. You and I are called to be that wonderful channel. Since we are called to be the channel of those blessings, we are not allowed to lock it. We are not allowed to stop that flow because we don't have the right. We called to be that pipe, that the source of blessing running through. So just don't put a lock down there and just shut them up. So my dear friends, I think you got my message today. Because many times I try to get down to the bottom line. The bottom line is that God alone gives miracles. God alone gives blessings. But He wants us to be part of that miracle making. And when we are part of us, what do the gospel tell us today? They all ate and